Welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker with a tea to review, and it's worth repeating every so often to say, I'm not reviewing this tea to find out whether I like it. I'm not reviewing this tea to tell you whether you should like it necessarily. I'm reviewing the tea to reflect whether this tea reflects what its type or its character should express. So that's what we're looking at. Is it what kind of quality in showing the best of this kind of tea? How is it doing in showing that character? So what you see me doing is I'm getting out enough of this tea. It's a black tea, and I'm just kind of scooping out enough to fill out the bottom inch to inch and a half area of my bottom of my gaiwan here. Let me set that to the side. I'm going to add my water. It's been brought to a boil. It's been cooling for just about a minute, so it's still got plenty of heat to it. And I'm going to put in enough water so a little bit will rest above the rim of the lid. That looks good. Let's see. Yep, a little water, a little bit. I can do just a couple drops more here. Just a splash more. That's nice. I'm going to set this water, this kettle out of the way. Kettle's been handy. It's been with me for several years now. It's reliable, simple, economical as well. So while I'm letting this sip, go ahead and introduce this tea. This is from Teavivre, which is a China-based company. They actually have some information about their looking here, Fujian. Looking on the back because Teavivre does a good job of telling a lot of information on the back of their packages. You can find out, for example, that this particular tea, this particular black tea, is from the Fuding area of Fujian province in China. You know the manufacturer, the Fujian Pingpingxiang Tea Company. Let's see what else. You can find the production date, June 15th for that production date. Online on Teavivre's website, 100 grams, or that's about 3.5 ounces, available for $8.90. It is from the Taimu Mountain, which is the kind of the traditional or one of the best known places for producing Fujian black teas, so that's a good point to know. And we'll be talking about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor, starting off here with the dry. Now you'll notice that Teavivre gives you a nice zip top bag, which is handy. Before that, or inside of that, the bag, the original bag, was sealed as well. But once you cut that open, how do you keep it? How do you minimize its exposure to air and kind of maximize its freshness? Well, that's why you've got this other zip top bag here. So I'm going to scoop out a little bit here with my spoon. Just kind of look at that. Now, one thing you often look at with this type of tea is how much of it is kind of a gold bud. This one is 15–20%. Of a golden color. The rest is kind of a seal brown type of dark, almost grayish brown type color. Wiry. These portions, most of these portions are less than an inch. Several of them are half an inch or less. Well, half an inch on average, I should say. Some of them are more than half an inch. So yeah, half an inch would be probably a good average. Wiry, as I said. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a sniff here. Getting some kind of a light raisin bran. So you're getting the toasted bran flake there. You're getting a little bit of a kind of a raisiny, dried grape type of smell coming out as well. So that gives it a little bit of sweetness. Maltiness is subtle, but there, I would say. Faint, but a little bit there. Mostly more of a kind of a toasty, again, toasty bran flake kind of note there. So, setting that back inside. Of course, if you're going to keep this for long extended periods of time, you want to zip that up, lock that up. I'm going to go ahead and pour and then be able to talk about this wet leaf here. So we got my lid angled over to the side. Gaiwan, depending on your workplace or your home, Gaiwan may be something you want to consider because it's just so simple as far as its functioning parts. It's easy to clean. Takes a little bit of practice though to use and to pour, especially if you're going to try to use a lot of hot water, because if it gets too hot, too much hot water close to the rim makes it hard to hold. So you want to manage your water levels. You also want to manage your pouring ability, perfect that so that you don't get a lot of leaves dripping through. That's an issue. Also, if you decant or serve more than one serving, the top, just like with any kind of teapot or anything, the water at the top, the tea at the top of the vessel is thinner, lighter than the tea down at the bottom. So you want to balance that out by decanting, something like this. So, wet leaf here. Now getting into, there is still that raisin bran type of toasty, weedy kind of smell there. But that is underneath, and it is dominated by, again, a grape, and this is getting into warm, almost like a baked grape skin, especially the grape skin. There's some sweetness there. There's a little bit of floral aspect in the grape skin, especially as you kind of crush it and squeeze it and smell it. Of course, a lot of people associate the grape skin, when they bite into a grape skin, it can be tart, sour. But this is just, if you did not bite it and just smell the floralness, the floral aspect of the grape skin, the sweet aspect in the smell. So that's nice, that's pleasant. Pulling out a few leaves, they've all become fairly uniform in color. They have unfurled, opened up quite a bit so that you can actually see the portions of leaves. I do not see so far a lot of intact leaves. Most of these are look like to be a half of a leaf. So these are smaller. Initially they were smaller leaf sizes than some other kinds of teas. You get some pieces that look like either stems, which I'm pulling a little bit of now. Here and there, these were stuck to the lid. I'm going to put those back in. You get fairly tightly wrapped, fine portions that were probably very close, if not needle, or the upper tips. Like, for example, here's a nice one. I'm going to pull this one out and just kind of gently unfurl it. Very tiny, small leaf, curled in on itself, just like a fresh new bud or needle might be. So that's nice. I'm going to flatten that out. Hopefully that'll stay just so. As I move on now to talk about the liquor, give this liquor a bit of a swirl here. Hold that up to the light, and you notice a fairly copper moving over towards a brownish, deep amber type color. It does have a reddish element to it, but it's getting more towards a deeper rust, red-brown type of color there as well. The toasted wheat flake type of notes are coming out a little bit more so now. Good clarity, so let me pour it into my cup, see what it looks like in there. Again, still good brightness, good gloss there, and it's sheen. It's not dull or flat or stale or old looking in the cup, so that's positive. Okay, so now I'm going to go on and give it a sip here. I'm noticing it's got I noticed I don't get a lot of astringency there. It's not a hard, intense briskness, especially if you are used to something like an English breakfast, an Irish breakfast, some of those tea bag type of teas. This is richer. It's not as, like I said, almost no astringency in comparison to that kind of tea. Almost no, or far less bitterness. If you could almost, on a scale, putting the two together, so it has no bitterness in comparison with those kinds. So, but what it does have is this kind of syrupy, again, slightly bittersweet, like an extra dark chocolate. That bittersweet type of feel on the mouth. So it's a sweet, like I said, bittersweet, syrupy type coating, almost like molasses. It sets up in the mouth right after the initial taste, and then in the aftertaste as you swallow. That syrupy feel really sits on the top of your tongue, sides of your mouth, underneath your tongue as well, moving back a little bit towards the jaw. So you also get kind of a red grape skin, like I mentioned, that grape raisin element there, still there. So those are the positive or dominant characteristics here. The aftertaste lingers and is extended, so it's got a syrupy, sweet molasses, red grape skin kind of taste that just sets up camp, and it just stays there for quite a while. It's not harsh, it's not off-putting. It makes your mouth smack and water. It's almost like you're still got something juicy resting in your mouth, just building up, increasing, amplifying. So when I look at this tea, I would have to give this tea, about a 91. It's got some good, rich character to it, not the diversity of flavor components that some black teas, some Fujian blacks may have, but still, again, a lot going for it in that rich mouth feel. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find those teas that are representative of their kind of tea, not necessarily what you like, what I like.